Okay, this lecture is about position in statistics. Okay, so on this top one, we see that I have this line, right? And so what we're talking about is like we're separating this line from 0 to 100. So what we're saying is 0% of my data is to the left of this mark right here, right? And I'm saying right here that 100% of my data is to the left of this mark. So if I put something in the middle, I'm saying that 50% of my data is to the left of this mark, right? Okay, so that's the scale that we're using. So we're always thinking about how much data is to the left of the place that I put a mark. So the one that we've already looked at a lot is this quartiles. So we use this to create our box and whisker plot. So the 50% mark in quartiles is the median, right? And that median is the second quartile mark, the second quartile mark. Then from there, we would look at the bottom half of that, and we would split that in half and make this the first quartile. And then we would go to the top half and split that in half to make this the third quartile mark. So this spot between the first and the third, we called this the IQR, remember? The interquartile range from here to here. And remember, the range is from 0 to 100. Well, 0 is our minimum in our box and whisker plot. And then 100%, that's our maximum in our box and whisker plot, right? So we're used to this quartile thing, but it's actually telling us where we're at in the positioning, okay? So if we're in the second quartile, then we're saying that we're somewhere in the lower 50% of our data, but definitely above the 25% mark, right? So it's telling us where we stand, where we are. So deciles is another way that we can break this up. So if we start right in the middle, well, 50%, right? 50% of this decile here is the fifth decile. So again, we're saying everything to the left of this mark there's 50% of my data to the left of this mark, right? So this is my 10th decile. So if I go over here to the 7th decile, again, what that means is 70% of my data is to the left of that mark. One more example, the second decile, we're just saying that 20% of my data falls to the left of that mark. The one we use the most is percentiles. We use this a lot in testing to compare ourselves with the rest of the nation. So if I score in the 89th percentile, what we're saying here is, again, that we are scoring higher than 89% of the other people that took that test. So percentiles just label the data by the exact percent of where you're at. So if you're in the 22nd or maybe this is more like the 40th percentile, maybe you're 40% of the data is worse than you, 60% of the data is better than you. So we use this for position. Where is a specific stat, like a test score, where does that lie in relation to all of the data? Okay, so this is positions. You need to know these. Quartiles for box and whisker. Percentiles we use a lot in other things, so it's worth knowing. Okay, thanks.